Why do activist scholars and activist politicians insist on discrediting themselves? Robert Reich wrote an article about Elon Musk where I claim that it's a total hit piece with nothing substantive in it whatsoever. Now, Robert Reich is a UC Berkeley professor, former Harvard professor, former Secretary of Labor under Clinton, author, columnist, has 1.4 million Twitter followers, 3.2 million Facebook. So he has a big following, and he has a lot of clout as a kind of activist leader kind of thing. Let's look at the article. Elon Musk's vision for the internet is dangerous nonsense. Okay, this is the claim that Robert Reich is making. Did he make this argument, or is it just a hit piece? Let's see, you can decide. Originally, Reich had the following line. Musk has long advocated a libertarian vision of an uncontrolled internet. That's also the dream of every dictator, strongman, and demagogue. So right away, he's framing the argument that he's trying to make, okay? So uncontrolled internet, what does that mean? Let's hope that he defines that. And then here he links Musk's vision to that of a dictator, a strongman, or a demagogue. So he's showing his bias right from the beginning. Why does he make the connection between what Elon Musk's vision is and the dictator, a strongman, and a demagogue? A dictator and a strongman would not want an uncontrolled internet. Quite the opposite. And we can see this with Putin. Putin controls the media completely, controls the internet, what's allowed, what's not allowed. So this makes absolutely no sense. Well, there was a lot of feedback online, and then Reich and The Guardian, without telling anyone, without having an editor's note, changed the original line to say what's there now, which is, Musk now faces no limit on how much of Twitter stock he can buy. He'll buy as much as he needs to gain control. Okay, so now it's much softer, but also now faces no limit. Well, he didn't face a limit before, so this makes no sense. And he'll buy as much as he needs to gain control. Well, if anyone follows him on Twitter, and very recently in the last few weeks, you can understand that his goal is to control Twitter. It's to change it to a way that many people want it to be changed. And then he goes on. Now, the Russian people know little about Putin's war on Ukraine because Putin has blocked their access to the truth, substituting propaganda and lies. Well, exactly. So there is no uncontrolled internet. On the contrary, it's extremely controlled. The knowledge is extremely controlled so that they only have access to what Putin wants them to know. So again, how does that fare with what he was talking about with the uncontrolled internet? Years ago, pundits assumed the internet would open a new era of democracy, giving everyone access to the truth. But dictators like Putin and demagogues like Trump have demonstrated how naive that assumption was. Well, it's true, because the dictator is controlling the internet. It's not open, a new era of democracy, but it's actually closed by a dictator. Demagogue is different. Demagogue can use a more open internet to get their message out. Now he goes on, at least the US responded to Trump's lies. Well, the US did not respond to Trump lies. It's Twitter that did. Trump had 88 million Twitter followers before Twitter took him off its platform, just 2 days after the attacks on the Capitol, which he provoked in part with his tweets. Trump's social media accounts were also suspended on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitch, and TikTok. Well, I don't think he had accounts on these, but whatever. And TikTok is owned by China, not by the US. But leaving that aside, we can see that the internet is in no way democratic, that it's actually controlled, very strongly controlled by very few companies. So again, I don't know what he's talking about. In this Facebook, and Instagram and WhatsApp, which is not here, another app, is owned and controlled totally by one person, Mark Zuckerberg, a billionaire. I've never heard him talk about that. YouTube censors a lot. Okay. Now he says, these moves were necessary to protect American democracy. That's a very strong statement that many people would not agree with. But look what he's doing with this. But Elon Musk, the richest man in the world with 80 million Twitter followers, wasn't pleased. Musk tweeted the US tech companies shouldn't be acting as the de facto arbiter of free speech. So then he's saying here, if you see this, it was necessary to protect democracy. So Elon Musk is not interested in doing what's necessary to protect democracy, which is quite the opposite of his goal for Twitter. And not only that, when Twitter banned Trump from its platform, many world leaders spoke out against this decision, including Chancellor Angela Merkel of Germany. So again, here he's creating a false idea of what the position is in regards to this statement and in regards to taking Trump off of Twitter. Okay, Musk continues to tell his 80 million followers all sorts of things. I disagree with many of his positions, okay, but ever since I posted a tweet 2 years ago criticizing him for how he treated his Tesla workers, he has blocked me. So I can't view or post criticism of his tweets to his followers. Okay, then he goes on to say, seems like an odd move for someone who describes himself as a free speech absolutist. Musk advocates free speech, but in reality is just about power. Okay, so between these two paragraphs, he claims that Elon Musk blocked him because he criticizes him. I would argue differently, and I hope that I can show you by going through this article that he's not criticizing him in any factual or real world way. He makes up things and attacks Elon personally, which is not criticism. And secondly, Elon Musk did not ban Robert Reich from Twitter. He can go on Twitter, say whatever he wants to say. He can say it on articles, op-eds that he's writing. He's not banned from anything. Elon Musk as a person can choose not to have Robert Reich comment on Elon's posts if he's just going to be a troll. And then he says the power is what he wants. Well, okay, what does he mean by power? Because Elon Musk is very transparent about everything he does. And he's been stating that he does want to take control over Twitter. Power compelled Musk to buy $2.6 billion worth of stock. Well, not exactly. It is the power to control, but I think it's a different type of power that this guy, Robert Reich's talking about. I think he set up the article originally with saying that dictators, demagogues, strongmen. So I think that's the type of power Robert Reich is talking about, which is completely false. Power compelled Musk to buy Twitter, making him the largest individual shareholder. Last week, Twitter announced that Musk would join the Twitter board of directors, prompting Musk to promise significant improvements in the platform. Sunday evening, though, it was announced that Musk would not be joining Twitter's board. No reason was given, but it's probably a part of bargaining kabuki dance. Well, no, it's not. There was a letter by the CEO posted on Twitter that everyone could read, where it stated that if Elon goes on the board, he's duty bound by a fiduciary responsibility where he cannot criticize Twitter publicly. And if you look at his Twitter feed, he criticizes Twitter a lot. And that's one reason we can think of as to why he didn't join the board. And it's the most logical reason, not because of some bargaining kabuki thing. Now, Musk wouldn't have plopped down 2.6 billion for nothing. Of course not. We already know what his purpose is. If he is not a Twitter board, he's not bound by a standstill agreement in which he pledged to buy no more than 14.9% of Twitter stock. Musk now faces no limit on how much of the Twitter stock he can buy. Well, it's not now. He didn't face any limits, and he's not facing any limits now. There's no difference because he doesn't want to go on the board. He'll buy as much stock as he needs to gain total control. Well, he's very transparent about this. There's nothing new here. Okay, so now it goes on. What improvements does Musk have in mind for Twitter? Will he use his clout over Twitter to prevent users with tens of millions of followers from blocking people who criticize them? I doubt that. Well, that has nothing to do with free speech absolutism. Anyone is free to criticize anyone they want on their own Twitter wall. That's no problem. It's different than going on someone else's Twitter wall and being a troll. Two different things. Now here, this is one of the most disgusting lines that Robert Reich wrote. Musk will use his clout to let Trump back on. I fear. Whoops, sorry. This is one of the most disgusting lines that Robert Reich wrote in this article. Will Musk use his clout to let Trump back on? I fear he will. Okay, again, this is a complete misrepresentation of what probably is going to happen. He's framing it in a very negative light. So again, he's not criticizing, he's trying to go against the person, to paint them in a bad way as much as he can. Will Musk use his clout to let Trump back on? I fear he will. Oh, really? Well, the thing is this, if he does go on to buy Twitter, and there is a free speech principle where you can say anything that's not against the law and maybe some other caveats. But if that's the principle, Trump, not because Elon Musk will go to put him on, meaning volitionally, meaning that Elon Musk himself would tell Twitter, put Trump back on. That's not the case. What will happen is that there's going to be a set of principles. And then we have to look at the principles and look at the criteria and decide each person that has been banned, if they will continue to be banned or not. And probably Trump will be let back on, but it has nothing to do with Elon Musk using his clout to let Trump back on. Do you see the difference? There's a big difference here. So now, Musk has long advocated a libertarian vision of the uncontrolled internet. That vision is dangerous rubbish. There's no such animal, and there never will be. Okay, is it dangerous rubbish? Let's see if you can explain, because so far you haven't explained what an uncontrolled internet is and why you're talking about demagogues and dictators. Someone has to decide on the algorithms in every platform, how they're designed, how they evolve, what they reveal and what they hide. Musk has enough power and money to quietly give himself this sort of control over the internet, over Twitter. Sorry. Okay, so here again, he doesn't give any credit to Elon Musk. He doesn't listen to what Elon Musk is saying and what others are saying. Elon Musk says that his goal is to make the Twitter algorithm open source. What does open source mean? I mean that any computer programmer that can understand the code can go through every single line of the algorithm to know exactly what it's doing. Moreover, he suggested other things, and other people suggested other things, like having multiple algorithms, all open source, that people can choose from. So do you want to see all your friends' feeds, the news feeds, etc.? So you're going to have more control over what you see. Also, if something happens, because right now Twitter doesn't tell people if they throttle their tweets, that is, that they reduce the number of people that can see it. and they don't tell you why you're banned if you are banned. They do a lot of very underhanded things. And what Elon Musk is suggesting is that we might keep some of the rules, but when we keep these rules, we're going to make them public so people know that you were banned because of this, or your tweets are not shown as much as before because of that, or this or that. So again, he's misrepresenting what Elon Musk has been saying. He probably doesn't know what Elon Musk has been saying because he doesn't care. All he wants to do is attack in a mind-numbingly stupid way. Musk talks about freedom of speech, but his real power is freedom of reach. Oh, how smart. Reaching 80 million Twitter followers without accountability to anyone, including critics like me, and enough money to buy himself a seat on Twitter's board. Okay, so I think we're starting to establish that you're not a real critic, that you're more like a troll, and you make up things. Musk has never believed that power comes with responsibility. Okay, how does he know something like that? He's been unperturbed when his tweets cause real suffering. Okay, so here there's a link to when he says suffering, it's a link. And the link is to an article about a female journalist that said something and Elon Musk said something back. And then his followers said some sexist things and some really nasty things to her. And we all know that one of the most unfortunate things about Twitter is that, especially for women, is that they do get attacked on Twitter. And that's extremely unfortunate. It has nothing to do with Elon Musk, nothing to do with his tweet. It's a completely different issue. And again, he's like this dictatorship. He's trying to associate all these different things that have nothing to do with Elon Musk, but he's trying to make it sound like it's Elon Musk himself. During his long and storied history with Twitter, he's threatened journalists and tweets reckless things. Okay, let's see if he gives examples of this. In March 2020, he tweeted that children were essentially immune to COVID. Okay, well, he was wrong about that, but they are, in some sense, essentially immune, which means that very, very, very rarely, a few hundred children under 18 died from COVID, and those that died, 80%, had extremely advanced illnesses. Most kids essentially only at most get a sniffles or the cold. He has pushed cyber currencies that he's invested in. Well, yeah, jokingly, he pushes, I think it's Dogecoin. When a college student started a Twitter account to track Musk's private plane, Musk tried and failed to buy him off before blocking him. Again, you see the kind of language that he uses? Buy him off. Yes, Elon Musk contacted this kid and said it's a security risk that people know at all times where my plane is, where it's going to land, etc. And he offered him money in exchange to take that Twitter feed off. The kid refused, and so Elon Musk banned him from his own Twitter feed. Again, how is that mistreating people or trying to buy him off? That sounds kind of nefarious. That sounds kind of like he's doing something underhanded. It was not doing something underhanded. It was very transparent. Everyone knew at the time what was going on. Okay, so now another example he's trying to give. The Securities and Exchange Commission went after Musk after he tweeted that he had funding to take Tesla private, a clear violation of the law. Musk paid a fine and agreed to let lawyers vet future sensitive tweets, but he has tried to reverse this requirement. He's actually suing back because he claims that he did have funding secured, and the Securities and Exchange Commission came after him unlawfully and unfairly. So we'll see what happens with that trial. Yes, he is. He is openly contemptuous of the SEC, tweeting at one point that the E stands for Elon. You can guess what the S and the C stand for. By the way, how does the SEC go after Musk's ability to tweet now that he owns Twitter? Well, in the same way. I don't understand what the difference is. Again, it doesn't make any sense. Billionaires like Musk, okay, have shown time and again they consider themselves above the law. And to a large extent, they are. Well, they probably are, but he hasn't shown anything here where Elon thinks he's above the law. Again, he's being a bigot here, painting all billionaires as one thing and then saying millionaires are this and therefore Elon Musk is this, because Elon Musk is a billionaire. His whole approach to Elon Musk is bigoted. Musk has enough wealth that legal penalties are no more than a slap on his wrist. Well, probably true. And enough power to control one of the most important ways the public now receives news. He doesn't own it yet. And yes, he will have control over Twitter. That's the goal. But if he doesn't keep to his promises, people will put his feet to the fire. That's for sure. And what he says is it's going to make the algorithms open sourced, meaning that he can't control anything without people knowing about it. Think about it. After years of posting tweets that skirt the law, okay, again, there's one tweet that maybe was not legal because he's appealing that right now. One tweet. And what is Robert Reich? After years of posting tweets that skirt the law, Musk was given a seat on Twitter's board and is probably now negotiating for even more clout. It's not clout, it's control. I mean, it's out there. He's trying to make, again, just like this, after years and here clout, he's trying to make this big thing out of really nothing. And he tries to make it sound underhanded all the time. Musk says he wants to free the internet, but what he really aims to do is make it even less accountable than it is now. Really. When it's often impossible to discover who is making the decisions about how algorithms are designed, who is filling social media with lies, who is poisoning our minds with pseudoscience and propaganda, and who is deciding which versions of events go viral and which stay under wraps. Well, okay, so Twitter banned the whole newspaper, the New York Post, the whole Twitter feed of a newspaper, because they wrote an article and tweeted about it, about Hunter Biden's, our president's son, laptop, which was a true laptop that belonged to him and had a lot of information, a lot of emails and things that maybe are not legal. We don't know. But because they wrote that article 2 weeks before the election, Twitter banned the whole newspaper for those 2 weeks. Moreover, the lab leak hypothesis about the coronavirus origin was banned from Facebook for about 6 months. No one could mention the lab leak hypothesis. It was banned. So when he's talking about pseudoscience and who controls what, we're all already being controlled. So I don't know what he's talking about. And then if Elon Musk takes over Twitter, his goal is to make it open sourced, as transparent as possible. Quite the opposite of what is happening now on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Again, now he jumps to conclusion. Make no mistake, this is about freedom. This is not about freedom, it's about power. Okay, let's see if he makes an argument for this again. In Musk's vision of Twitter and the internet, he'd be the wizard behind the curtain, projecting on the world's screen the fake image of a brave new world empowering everyone. Okay, how does he know this? How does he come to this knowledge? In reality, that world would be dominated by the richest and most powerful people in the world. Okay, right now, the Washington Post is owned by Jeff Bezos. Facebook, Instagram are owned by Mark Zuckerberg. Other newspapers, LA Times, other newspapers are owned by billionaires. So I don't think this is a vision that Elon Musk has. We're already living in that, dominated by the richest, most powerful people in the world, who wouldn't be accountable to anyone for facts, truth, science, or the common good. Again, he's attributing things here to Musk that have nothing to do with man, that he didn't show, that he didn't prove, that he didn't give facts to substantiate what he's saying. He's just saying things. That's Musk's dream. He didn't show that this is Musk's dream. He's projecting what I think is his own dreams, really, and Trump's and Putin's. Again, so he puts Trump and Putin in the same category as Elon Musk without showing anything to substantiate this. It's quite disgusting, really disgusting. And that's the problem with activists like him. I initially wanted to follow him because I wanted to learn things about income inequality. But now I don't believe anything he says because I've seen many tweets, many Facebook posts that are just, in my opinion, lies. Just like what I think these are, lies. They're not bending the truth, they're lies. He's making it sound completely different than it is. Putin, dream of every dictator, strongman, demagogue, and modern-day robber baron on Earth. For the rest of us, it would be a brave new nightmare. Okay, he didn't show how it's going to be a brave new nightmare to the rest of us. That's the ending. Again, so here he's just stating that's Musk's dream. Okay, so that's the conclusion of the essay. But again, he didn't say anything really that shows that Musk is about Trump or about Putin. Definitely not about Putin, because Putin is exactly the opposite of what the internet is about. Unless he thinks that Elon Musk will take over the internet somehow. But it's already been taken over by billionaires. Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, YouTube. They ban people all the time. They ban contents. They banned one of my videos where I went after CNN. So this nightmare is already here. And what Elon Musk is claiming, now this is what he says. I'm stating what Elon Musk is saying, unlike what Robert Reich is doing. He says that he wants to make the algorithms more open sourced, less banning, less censorship. And again, if it's open sourced, he cannot control without us knowing what's happening. This is not possible. Now, he might not open source it. There might be technical difficulties. I have no clue. But this is what he's stating. And Robert Reich did not show anything to the contrary. And that's the problem I've had with many activists that I've met, that they really make up things in order to try to bolster their point. And my problem is if these issues are real, which I believe they are real, why did they make up things? Why did they have to go after the person? It makes no sense to me. I lose complete confidence and trust of those people and those movements because of these people. I think he's doing a complete disservice to all the issues that he's talking about. For example, he's talking about Amazon workers and how they're treated badly. One time he said that their emails were being censored. And I don't know if that's true or not, because he makes up things. That's really bad. So in any case, I hope I explained my position here. Thank you.